This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. It is February 7th, 2022. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, what up, bro?
How's it going, man?
Better. I've been better.
I was gonna say I was in a good mood. You know, last time we recorded, we'd won 4 out of the last 6. Then you get destroyed 2 games in a row. On top of that, I thought that I had COVID. I was just like way under the weather. I don't usually like get colds and get sick or anything like that.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
I just took all my vitamins right here while we're recording. People are going to be watching YouTube and be like, what did Jonathan just do? Is he popping Xannies?
Yeah.
No, I'm just taking my vitamins, so hopefully I don't get COVID or anything like that. But yeah, I'm glad you didn't have COVID.
Well, me too. But it was like, Thursday it was kind of coming on a little bit. And then Friday was terrible. I went into work and would just get like head pressure by like the slightest movements. And I was just sneezing and coughing all over the place. Thankfully, I'm like, across the room from like one of my coworkers, and that's like the closest one. But after one point, he was just like, dude, you just go home. I was like,
we don't want that.
Yeah, so I went and got a COVID test, which the responsible thing would have been to like get one the day before, I guess. But yeah, it's it is what it is. But yeah, no. So thankfully,
we're all just doing our best.
Thankfully, I got a negative test. I did a PCR, which takes 24 to 48 hours, more accurate, no false negatives, whatever. So thankfully that was negative. But I quarantined from Lauren and Harper as best I could for that whole time, basically. So that it was a terrible time. So on top of that, in the Magic games, it's been pretty bad.
Probably Magic worst headache. I would imagine they've been that bad. When I had COVID, the worst thing about COVID, other than like quarantining and all that, was just like nothing helped. Like no amount of cold medicine or headache medicine. It was just like we're just gonna kind of go through this and wait for it to pass, really.
Mm-hmm.
So just a couple of housekeeping things before we go ahead and jump into this. You guys might have heard by now that we started like a voicemail line where you guys can call into the show, leave us questions, all that kind of good stuff there. No producer Kevin this week, so I don't think we're going to get to voicemails. I know we've got a few there, but Kevin is kind of on vacation with the boys on a boys trip. So we're smashed a ton of sushi today. Was sending us pictures and stuff. So kind of jealous of that.
Well, I want to add, Jonathan. So if you guys want, as far as the voicemail, to utilize it the best of its ability, we have trade deadline coming up. Whether we get to it or not, I'm hoping we can. Not necessarily, obviously not this episode, but the next one that we release. Just send them in. Send in some like trade deadline, dreams, anything your heart desires. Whether it's realistic or not, send it in. We might use it on the show. Talk about your trade. Say it's great or it's trash. Quite frankly, I'd love to kind of get you guys' takes. I'm quite honestly a terrible trade builder. Like I'll build something and then I'll be like, I don't even want to send this anywhere. Like this is gross. I know it's bad. At least I'm self-aware. But send it our way. I'd much rather roast you guys than get myself roasted. So
I made the mistake of putting a scenario trade out there. I want to say like maybe a little over a year ago. I just got flamed relentlessly on Twitter. I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do this again. I didn't enjoy this. So
well, a lot of some people, Jonathan, in regards to our show, they'll say, it's just a couple dudes talking Magic basketball, and that's completely true because I'm not a cap nerd. I just want to praise my team when it's deserved. I want to keep people level-headed, and I want to critique when it's also deserved. That's it. That's what we're here for, and just to talk to each other. It's a venting session. I'm no
people,
cap expert.
There's not a lot that people can say that offends me at this point because I've like heard a lot of like these guys are idiots, blah blah blah. Like that stuff doesn't bother me at this point.
Right.
The only thing that still bothers me, and it's silly that it does, but when people say the term casual,
ooh,
it just drives me up a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Who in the world would do this every single week and talk about this team specifically and watch every single game that you would call them a casual? That's just the one thing. It's so dumb, and it's the most ridiculous.
I'd rather you call me stupid.
I would rather you call me stupid, but like casual is such a stretch. It's kind of crazy that it bothers me.
The fact that we're doing 2 shows now, no casual fan does that. You and I hop on here. I might be stupid, but I'm not casual.
I might be stupid. I might be ugly. I might,
a lot of things.
Be getting chunky. I might be a lot of things. Well, casual, I am not. Anyways, guys, if you want to leave a voicemail, 407-603-1189. If you guys want to help financially support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/the6man show. 3 tiers, awesome benefits. Again, really helps us do what we want to do and helps us do what we love to do, which is this podcast. And we shout out our patrons every single week. Shout out Court Cousins, Drew Gooden, Armin, Keith Garcia, Zico, Carson Tulo, Nathan Lynn, Ellis, Jonathan Borges, Norm L, Magic Player History, Giulio Bailey, and Luke. We have a new patron this week, Matt Lyman, one of my best friends. We were at a wedding this weekend, and my buddy was like, "Oh, I support you on Patreon." I was like, "Oh no, I love it. I really, really appreciate that." And then all my other buddies were like, "Oh, what is that? How can we help?" I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go." I didn't want to do this. I'm not coming and asking you guys, for $5 a month or whatever, but here we are. Matt, love you, man. Really, really appreciate that. That's awesome. Appreciate all of our patrons. Like Luke said, the episode that we'll release Thursday is going to be like our trade deadline show. But we're also, it seems like we're going to be doing a pretty big show with a lot of the other Magic podcasts, like, Locked On Magic and, the Close Up Magic, Ozone, like all those guys. We're going to be doing like a big round table. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be pretty dope. I think we're recording that like Thursday night. I don't know if that'll be out late Thursday or early Friday, but just keep your guys, your eyes open for that. We'll basically be recapping, the trade deadline, focused around the Magic. I'm sure we'll talk some NBA stuff, so that'll be pretty cool. All right, Luke, let's get into the weekly state of the Magic. We do this each Monday episode. This week, your Orlando Magic went 1-3 with a 126-115 loss in Chicago to the Bulls on Tuesday. A 119-118 come from behind win in Indiana over the Pacers on Wednesday. A 135-115 blowout loss to the Memphis Grizzlies at home on Saturday. And then a 116-83 blowout loss to the Boston Celtics at home on Sunday. Lots of losing this week, Luke. This week brings the Magic to a record of 12 wins, 43 losses. They have the worst record in the Eastern Conference.
Yay.
And the worst record in the NBA. Coming into Sunday, they were 28th in the NBA in offensive rating, 23rd in defensive rating, 28th in overall net rating. Injury report, Jonathan Isaac, Michael Carter-Williams, Etuan Moore, Markelle Fultz, R.J. Hampton all remain out. Mo Bamba was suffering from a little ankle issue. He was questionable to play tonight against the Boston Celtics. We're recording this Sunday night, of course, but he played, so it seems like he's pretty safe to keep playing. Although, we'll talk about this, as the week goes on, but Mo Bamba, his days in Orlando may or may not be numbered.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to kind of track. It's ridiculous how quickly the tide turned on this team, like the momentum that the team had winning 4 of the last 6, and then just to get your doors blown off. I know you play against, a really talented, one of the best teams in the league in the Grizzlies. I know Boston, sitting at 30-25 now, trying to, get their footing again after, some questionable beginnings with them. I can't believe how quickly this whole thing turned around. Whereas, like, a couple days ago, Jonathan, I was like, man, when do you start to, like, I know we're not, like, necessarily pro-tank, obviously, like, intentionally, maybe, but also, like, when do you start to get worried about these wins starting to pile up? It does.
We were kind of worried about that, and then some news broke this week about the Miami Dolphins and Brian Flores, and Jeff Weltman's like, John, I've got a great idea. We'll pay the guys to lose games.
We'll pay them $100K a game.
We're not paying Mosley. We are now paying the players to lose these games all of a sudden. No, I'm totally kidding. But yes, how the tables turn, or how the turntables, as Michael Scott would say, right?
Yeah, terrible.
So let's talk Saturday versus the Grizzlies. I want to premise this by saying John Morant is phenomenal. Dude. He's quickly becoming one of the most fun players in the NBA to watch. I mean, he already was, but
it's gone
up a level this season for me. very good Memphis team. They came into this game third in the NBA with the third best record in the NBA. It's crazy to say that of the Memphis Grizzlies. 37-18 record, or excuse me, third in the West with a 37-18 record, fifth in offensive rating, eighth in defensive rating, sixth in overall net rating in the entire NBA. This Memphis team, I mean, a big part of it is due to Ja Morant, but guys like Desmond Bane playing out of his mind this season, Jaren Jackson Jr. This game was close for the first 8 minutes and 31 seconds, Luke, when the Grizzlies took a 24-22 lead, and over the next 5.5 minutes to close out the first quarter, they just go on a run up 37-24 after the first quarter. Orlando just completely outplayed in this game, down 20 at the half, gave up 76 first-half points. The Magic scored 56 points in the first half, Luke. Any other night, we'd be like, all right, we're in this game. We have a chance to win this game. Down 20. Defense for the Magic just completely non-existent, especially interior defense. The rebounding atrocious. We're going to talk about all of this. Then you're down 27 at the end of the third. Grizzlies led by as much as 31 in the second half. Ja Morant played all 12 minutes in the third, make sure this game was out of hand, and then did not play in the fourth quarter. The Magic were beat in almost every single statistical category except they won the three-point percentage battle in this game. Orlando loses 135-115, Luke. So you talk about field goal percentage, free throw percentage, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, turnovers, fast break points, points in the paint, just you name it. The Magic just got dominated by the Memphis Grizzlies. This was, the effort defensively was terrible. People really coming out from Obama, just ready to trade him as soon as this game ended. Really before the game ended. But, you saw a couple of minutes there, like in the beginning of the fourth, where the body language didn't look great, and then the Magic started to get desperate and try to put a run together there in the fourth quarter. This game was just not close enough, unfortunately. And we'll talk about the Celtics game in a moment, but last two games, first time this season, I've been like, yeah, you know what? The body language doesn't look great tonight.
Dude, you look at the offensive rebounding numbers against Memphis. Magic have 7 offensive rebounds. Memphis, 16. And they go on to just out-rebound the Magic 62-38. You just kind of look through, like on ESPN app, you can click on, each player, obviously. Brandon Clark, who had 8 rebounds, averages 5 a game. DeAnthony Melton averages 4.6 rebounds a game. He had 10 rebounds. It just didn't seem like everybody was playing like kind of above their averages for the Grizzlies. And it's not because they were just, up for the game against the Magic, right? Number one, this team is great. But also, like I said, these guys were rebounding above their averages, feeling like they were doing everything above their averages. And the Magic just couldn't do anything. Franz Wagner, 1 rebound. Chuma, 3 rebounds. Mo Bamba in 20 minutes, 3 rebounds. For crying out loud, you shoot 1 for 6 from the field. You can't give me more than 3 rebounds? What are you there for? It's just ridiculous to look at. These rebounding numbers. Schofield out there for 12 minutes. You couldn't have given me a rebound. It's ridiculous, man. It really is.
As great as of a rebounder as Cole is, and we talk about this all the time.
Yeah,
he cannot be your second leading rebounder with 6 rebounds in a game.
No,
it's unacceptable.
It was. Rebounding is a huge indicator of effort, and like you said, Jonathan, like you said, it just feels like the body language was off with this team. The wheels come off. The Memphis Grizzlies, they put up 37 in the first quarter against them. Russell Westbrook is a great rebounder, Jonathan. It is not because he is a freak human being in terms of how tall he is. He's a freak athlete, and he's taller than me and you. But for the amount of rebounds this man averages season after season, for as bad as he is offensively now, as far as his efficiency, how bad he's missing these shots, it is all about, obviously, anticipation, that ball coming off the rim, but effort. There's one thing you can't say about Russell Westbrook is that he doesn't have effort. This whole Magic team against the Grizzlies had 0 effort on the boards. It is not hard to go after the rebounds. Like I said, the Grizzlies aren't just like up for this game because it's the Magic and we're a powerhouse team. They just simply dominated them because the Magic just laid down.
I think you're almost underselling how bad the effort was. Like, going and getting a rebound is one thing, but not even trying to get into the correct position. That's half of the battle. Rebounding is getting in the correct position.
Box your man out.
You box your man out. A lot of times the ball is just going to fall to you. You're going to get rebounds by accident.
Right.
And this was just atrocious. I give Memphis a lot of credit. One of the better teams in the league. And, the Magic, for years, Luke, it's felt like they play up to their competition. They play down to their competition. And you would think, Memphis is, a team that 2-3 seasons ago was kind of in the same position as the Magic. A lot of, young, promising players. And you would think the Magic are kind of looking into, the mirror of the future. Like, this is the kind of team that we could be, if we get things going here in a few years. And you think they'd get up for this game. Forget about it.
No.
Like, just absolutely ridiculous.
It's not like
poor effort, poor energy, poor execution.
It's not. I mean, it's not like
everything.
It's not like you're coming off a back-to-back against the Pacers where you win that game by one in fun fashion.
It's not even. You have 2 days off, and you were lucky to win that game.
Right.
You're down 17 to that Indiana team.
Right. It didn't make sense, and you'd think coming in tonight against Boston, you'd be able to put something together. It was just much of the same. I mean, we can get into that if you're ready to stop talking about the Grizzlies game. If you got more to add.
The last thing that I want to say is, I heard a lot of chatter this week about, the Magic at the beginning of last week about, the Magic are turning a corner. We recorded an episode a week ago tonight, and I said, feels like the Magic are peeking around the corner. I'm not ready to say they've turned the corner, and I mean, it's hard to argue that they have, the last couple of nights the way that they've played.
Yeah, it's been terrible.
I mean, the one good thing about this game was Cole Anthony seemed to, break out of his offensive slump at least a little bit. 22 points, 8 of 14 from the floor. We talked about the 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He looked good. Jalen Suggs looked good. Basically, everybody else looked terrible.
Yeah.
Against the Memphis Grizzlies, there's not really a way to say that.
Yeah.
And we can start talking about, this game. Cole Anthony, not great tonight. So it was like, oh, I'm back. Oh, I'm not really back. So...
Well, also in that Memphis game, the Magic I think had 9 turnovers to Memphis's 8. Like that's a game that you should be in. And like, by the way the season has gone, if the turnovers margin is small, you're in that game, but you get your doors blown off. So anyway, let's move on to Boston.
Yeah. So Boston, Celtics came into this game as the number 1 team in defensive rating in the NBA over their previous 15 games. They were 11-4 over their past 15 games. So. The Celtics that we saw perhaps early in the season, who also blew out the Magic, but we were like, oh, are the Celtics really that good? Who knows? We also had an overtime game against them where Jaylen Brown dropped like 50 points, and they kind of barely won that game. So like coming into this, like, oh, maybe we got a chance against the Celtics, but the Celtics have actually been playing a really good basketball. Luke, this one, I mean, really just kind of not exactly the same story as the Grizzlies. I felt like the Magic had better effort tonight. I mean, you only give up, what was it, 116 points tonight to the Boston Celtics, but scoring 83 points. Credit to Boston's defense. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but the Magic right now are just so terrible offensively.
Just like this layups,
was, I think this tied this ties for their second worst offensive output on the season. Their worst was November 3rd against the Celtics, where they scored 79 points. And then December 26th, the day after Christmas, scored 83 points in a 10-point loss to the Heat. So tonight's 83 points, your second worst offensive output on the season. What we shoot from the floor tonight, where is it? 35% from the floor, 19% from the three-point line. Another aspect, like we lost every single statistical category tonight apart from free throws made and free throw percentage. So you shoot better from the free throw line. You shoot 21, Boston shoots 14, both teams missed 1, so who's to say the Celtics couldn't make the next 7 or 8 free throws in a row, but the Magic literally lose every single statistical category outside of free throw shooting tonight, Luke.
I mean, from like, you look at it. So at the beginning of the game, the Magic get down early, right? The Magic get down very early.
The Magic never led in this game. They lost wire to wire.
They get down very early. And I think
the Magic
they're down
were never
10.
even tied in this game except 0-0.
Right. So I think they were down like 10, like 15-5 or 15-6 or something like that at the very beginning.
15-7.
You're watching and you're like, this is going to be bad. And then they kind of tighten the ship a little bit, right? They get, I think it was Gary and Chuma come in the game. Game tightens up a little bit. And you're like, oh, we might have ourselves a game, And then they go on to usually if you hold a team under 25, Jonathan, in a quarter, that's great. For the NBA standards especially, that's great. Means
That's what I'm saying. The first quarter, really the first half, the issue was not the effort.
No, it's not. And they're holding them to 21 in the first, 28 in the second, but you score 15 points in the first quarter. Usually holding the team to 21 in the first quarter means you're probably in the game, right? It means you're doing something, but the Magic, like you said, the Celtics are incredible. Like there's something to the fact that the other game, that there's no, mistake or coincidence that the Magic's, worst, 2 games of the season offensively came against the Celtics. That's an incredible defensive team, as you said. Number 1 defensive rating over the last, whatever it was, 10, 15 games.
15.
So there's no mistake, right? The Celtics earn the Magic scoring only 83, but also they're missing layups, they're missing wide open jumper, like a lot to do. And I was watching the Celtics broadcast tonight, Jonathan, because as you know, I don't have League Pass. I'm not in Florida. Also, I'm not watching Bally Sports. The Celtics, commentators Scalabrini and whoever the other guy is, they're basically saying the Celtics are a great defensive team. The Magic are just missing shots that they shouldn't be missing. Like even they were saying it. And as biased as commentators of a team can be, you'd think they'd be like, Celtics are just playing lockdown defense. It just wasn't the case, specifically in that there in the third quarter, first half. I mean, and then the fourth quarter, they bury you 38-22 in the fourth quarter. It just all around really terrible in terms of the shots they were missing. But credit to the Celtics. Jaylen Brown seems to own the Magic. The last few times they've played, made his presence felt tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, like Jason Tatum doesn't even have an incredible night, 15 points on 6 of 18 from the floor.
Yep.
But, the Magic just, like, really, you have Wendell, 14 points, 6 of 8 rebounds tonight. Jalen Suggs, 17 points, 5-11 from the floor. But, like, nobody else is able to, contribute offensively in a major way. You're just not going to beat many teams shooting 35% from the floor. I don't care how good the defense is. Like, we can talk, a little bit of, garbage time tonight, whatever. Maybe you hold the Celtics to, 105 points. Like, that should be good enough in an NBA game to have a shot going into the end of the game. And like I said, this tonight, especially like after the third quarter, the Magic go into, the fourth, I think down around 20. And, like, the game's over. And you just see guys, usually they're all excited on the bench, like even in a blowout loss at the end of the bench, still rooting for guys. And tonight you just see guys kind of slumped over, elbows on the knees, watching the games. Like, this team, to me, seems ready for, like, we can talk about the trade deadline a little bit. We're mostly going to talk about it on Thursday. But seems like the team needs some type of shakeup at this point. They definitely, desperately need the All-Star break that's coming up just to get some time away from basketball and not really worry too much about things. But
the other thing that was frustrating to me was the sets the Magic were running just straight up weren't working. Like the actions that were happening, Mosley had, was calling in the plays there at some points. It felt like the Magic sometimes were better just doing their own thing, like a free flowing offense with nothing set. It was terrible. I mean, and the Celtics were just putting the clamps on anything. They were. It seemed like they were making the right read every time. They just knew what the Magic were going to do, and it was kind of scary because it's like, yes, this is a good defensive team, so that means you need to come with your best stuff. It's the NBA. You should always come with your best stuff, but especially against a defensive team like the Celtics. And man, like just at points, like the offense would just stall so many times tonight, more than usual, and you're just like, what happened to the ball movement that we were seeing like 2 games ago? Where is it at? Because there were times even like big social media accounts were like tweeting about the Magic, like not Magic, outlets. They were like, this ball movement by the Magic. They did it like twice, I think, in two different games that they like got posted about because of their ball movement. And then it just looked like it came to a standstill tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to run into that sometimes with a young team, I think. Like when shots aren't falling, all of a sudden
And
it
a young
becomes
coach.
like you gotta get it. Yeah, and a young coach. It just seems like you got to get it all back in one possession. And yeah, the Magic have really fallen into that habit all year of, when things don't go well on the offensive end, it turns into, my turn basketball, pickup basketball, isolation basketball. And the one guy that we could count on that at the beginning of the year, Cole Anthony, has just been, ice cold for, the better part of the last, 5 or 6 weeks now. Even Franz Wagner. Franz didn't play particularly well tonight. He's getting into the lane and missing like the Euro step layups that we just, I guess maybe take for granted because it just always feels like they're going in every single time. So,
yeah,
Luke, not much to say. I mean, last couple of games you run into just teams that are smothering the Magic defensively. We know this team needs more talent. Anybody that tells you otherwise is either lying or kidding themselves, which is a reason why a lot of people are looking forward to the draft already, unfortunately. And I would say probably another 3-4 weeks here, that's where our attention is going to turn. A lot of people are starting to worry that the Magic were winning too many games, and the way that the team has looked the last couple of nights, it's like, I don't know if you guys have to be that worried.
Right, and granted, these are against two very good teams, but still not great. Even with the performances that the Magic had, you still think against a team that's like at right of 500. I don't know that the Magic can pull out a win playing like they did.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, Luke, let's take a look at the week ahead. So, Magic, had their nice little 5-game homestand, went on the road for a couple of games, had a couple of home games now. And now they go on the road, Luke. They are starting a 4-game road trip where they will start the week here Tuesday. They'll be at Portland. That game starts at 10 o'clock Eastern time. I hate these West Coast road trips. And then the Magic will have 2 days off. Friday, they'll play at Utah, 9 o'clock Eastern. And then Saturday, February 12th, at Phoenix. That game will also start 9 o'clock Eastern. Then next Monday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. The Magic will be at Denver to finish out the road trip. That game will be 9 o'clock Eastern. Then you have one home game Wednesday the 16th against the Atlanta Hawks. And then you've got like 9 days off for the All-Star break. But, Luke, this week at Portland, at Utah, at Phoenix. Portland, starting to make some moves. They made some trades this week. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We've got like Monday. So they probably won't look too much different by then if I had to guess. I believe Damian Lillard is still out, with the like abdominal surgery, whatever it was. But
they
yeah,
lost 5 straight.
Well, I mean, we just lost to the Portland Trailblazers a couple of weeks ago who had basically nobody. It was like McCollum's first game back in a long time. He didn't look incredible. But those guys, like Nurkic especially, kicked our butts. So
toasted by them, man. And Ben McLemore, I think, was another guy that game that really gave us fits. The Blazers have lost, 5 straight, I think. So it's two teams that one is in a very bad spot in Portland in terms of how they've been trending. The Magic had 2 bad games, but then won 4 of the last 6 prior to that. I would really like to win that game.
Well, let's look at the lineup right now. So they got Anthony Simons playing, C.J. McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, C.J. Ellaby. Wow, Tony Snell. Yeah, this roster, the moves that they just made, roster is really not in a good spot. They've got to be tanking. It's going to be interesting to see what happens Thursday. I would fully expect C.J. McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic to be moved. Damian Lillard, if Dame wants to be there, I don't see how you trade one of the best players in franchise history away.
I think you let him leave on his own terms unless he's requesting a trade. I don't see
unless he's requesting a trade. I think Dame will still be there, and I don't know who's going to trade for him at this point. He might not play another game this season, so right. I mean, who knows? I think the expectation is that he's going to come back, but the Trailblazers start making moves. They'll be like, look, just sit out. Let's try to get as high of a draft pick as we can and kind of see what happens. But I don't know. Maybe we can beat Portland. I think if we're going to win a game this week, that's the one that I would figure. I'll go ahead and say 1-2. You beat Portland, you lose to Utah and Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking here. I've had good success targeting the teams that are coming off a back-to-back against the Magic in terms of these predictions. I'm trying to see. Utah's not coming off a back-to-back against us. What's the other team? Phoenix? They're not, but they're coming off prime time on Thursday against the Bucks on TNT.
We're not beating Phoenix. Let me save you the breath. We're not beating Phoenix.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, Jonathan. I think this team's going 1-2. And I think that that win is going to be against a team that you might be telling me isn't going to happen. But it's a weird league.
I tell you what, they beat the Suns. I will Venmo you $5 for coffee on Sunday.
Well,
you don't drink coffee, but whatever.
Hot chocolate. Oh, but it'll be
hot
good
chocolate.
To good
I'll
use.
Venmo you $5 for hot chocolate on Sunday if we beat the Suns.
Great, perfect deal.
I hope you'll reciprocate. Put your money where your mouth
is.
is.
Yeah, absolutely. I got you $5.
All right, bet. All right,
Yeah.
$5 wager. I feel bad. I'm betting against the Magic, but my Dunkin' Donuts light and sweet will taste that much better Sunday on the way to church.
Suns' 11th loss. Hand it to him, hot and ready.
All right,
Orlando Magic.
Wow. Last night, I'm at my buddy's wedding, and one of my buddies leans over. He goes, "Oh, you guys are doing good." He thought the orange logo, because it was a Magic City night, he thought we were playing the Suns, and he thought we were beating them. I was like, "No, that's us." He's like, "Oh, damn, y'all suck." I'm like, "Yeah, we do." And then he went and subscribed to the Patreon. That's my buddy Matt. So he must have felt that bad that he's like, "Oh, this dude needs $5."
Matt, we appreciate you, and yeah, we do suck. We appreciate that though.
It is what it is, Luke. I've got another wedding this Saturday that I got to drive 2 hours to. Luckily, it's just like a ceremony, and then we're like going out to dinner type of deal, and then we'll be on the way back.
Yeah.
My boy, Israel Adesanya, fights Robert Whittaker this Saturday. Very excited about that. What are your predictions? And you better give me the answer I want to hear.
To be completely honest, I was looking at a text from our good friend Drew Gooden. Sent us some great stuff that he got tonight from the Magic game. He had pretty good seats. But once again, I want to also formally apologize, Drew. Really sorry that you had to sit through that game tonight.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, but glad you got some great. What did he say? What kind of mac and cheese was it?
A lobster mac and cheese.
Lobster mac and cheese. So
stuff.
Can you reframe your question? Sorry, I was distracted.
No,
by
I was just saying,
here.
Saturday, Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker are headlining UFC 271.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know I love me some Israel Adesanya.
Yep.
And I think it's a rematch betwing those two. Israel Adesanya knocked him out the last time they fought, so I'm hoping he runs it back.
I think Izzy is gonna probably make Whittaker into a pancake. To be honest with you,
I think like the middleweight division. I think the UFC has to be hoping that Adesanya loses this fight because if he wins, like the middleweight division, it just instantly becomes very boring.
Yeah.
Like the Whittaker thing, like Whittaker's looked amazing since his loss to Israel Adesanya, but recently Adesanya's run through, Vittori, he beat I almost said Paulo Costa, Yoel Romero. Like Israel is just the best fighter by far right now in the middleweight division. And if he beats Robert Whittaker, it's like, all right, now what else is going to happen?
The other fight I'm excited about is the co-main, which is Derek Lewis and Tuvasa, my boy who drinks out of a shoe. He does the shoey. And Derek Lewis, I love that man. So I
balls
think
is hot.
That's Derek Lewis, man.
Yeah,
I love him. So those fights are going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, it'll make me forget about the Magic for a night.
Yeah, I hope so too.
But they're going to be beating Phoenix.
I know we both love us some Thug Rose. I'm really looking forward to that next fight. I don't think they have that totally figured out. Mm-hmm. My brother-in-law just texted me that the UFC recently signed Alex Pereira, which was one of the only fighters that I think might be the only fighter that Israel Adesanya lost to when he was kickboxing. So, I mean, that was years ago. Israel Adesanya's even just his couple of years in the UFC has improved so much, and I just think his head and shoulders the best fighter in the middleweight men's division. But it'll be pretty interesting if Pereira can kind of climb the ranks and end up a rematch with Izzy. That'd be pretty dope to see. But yeah, I really want to see another Thug Rose Namajunas fight pretty soon. I don't think it's going to be any kind of like Zhang Weili rematch. No. He mentioned who he thought she might be fighting. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, hoping for a good card. I'm hoping I can get home early enough. I should be home early enough to see most of the main card. So
love that.
Love that. You gonna wager on any of those fights? Possibly, potentially.
The guys that I like are such heavy favorites. I'd have to bet like Izzy by KO to even get my money's
like the
worth.
Third round or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I might be looking at like the Super Bowl or something like that. As far as
yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards the Bengals. I know we talked a little bit about this like when the game was first set, but I just love Joe Burrow, man.
I want the Bengals to win. But I don't know.
I won't be mad regardless, but I'm leaning Bengals.
Yeah,
Shout out to our guy Dan Savage.
I would love for the Bengals to win that game, but I just the Rams, man, they're talented. They're very talented.
They are.
They got a lot of guys.
Still have
Joe Burrow.
Weird.
Joe Burrow might get his ish rocked many times in that game. So I don't know.
Potentially.
I hope he
got
doesn't.
his ish rocked a lot of times. You know,
against
in
the Titans
game.
You're right, but
yeah.
We'll see.
You got the Cartier shades won't even peek at you.
It's
you
true.
Know what I'm saying?
That caption game is elite for sure.
It's very strange because like 85% of me is very annoyed by Odell Beckham when I see his face.
Yeah.
But 15% of me is just like very fond memories of that guy. And if he wins the Super Bowl, I know a lot of people will hate on him, but still love me some Odell. So, all right, Luke, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Hopefully, we'll be back Thursday. We'll have some, exciting things to talk about. Maybe we'll have a couple of wins to talk about. Well, probably not likely, but yeah. At least earlier in the season when this team lost, Luke, it was fun. This week was not really a ton of fun.
Especially not after they won some of those games.
Yeah.
There's a total letdown. Whatever.
Yeah. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The Six Man Show. We will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Six Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. Please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It would really help us out a lot. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram @6manshow and like us on Facebook. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic.